as promised, this is a follow up to Chapter 3, Milady, Communicating for Success. Service verbiage is about the opportunities in any beauty environment where you are speaking to clients and the kind of information that needs to happen within different scenarios. So on the screen here, you see our Service Verbiage 101 sheet. I'm going to first go through each of the phases of communication or contact that you're going to experience with a client. So first things first, we have initial contact booking. So this is the first contact between your business and your potential client. This can happen via social media, a phone call, an email, a chat function on your website, pre-service appointments, and any contact generally before they physically walk into your beauty business. From there, we have the client intake. This is the point in which the client walks into your business, and some of the things that you would need to accomplish would be the greeting/welcome, offer of amenities, the 10-step consultation, escorting the client to where they will be performing service, and instructing the client on what needs to happen. From there, we're in service. So our during service is the moment you return to the treatment area and the final touch and the first touch begins. All the way through first touch, service, and ending. So during service is the moment you return to the treatment area and you begin your first physical contact with the client. Typically, that's when the clock for your service time starts as well. So if you're doing a 60-minute service and 5 minutes is for setup and breakdown, 5 minutes is for finishing and then redressing, you have 50 minutes of hands-on. That hands-on starts at first touch. And then lastly, you have post-service. This is the point in which the service has ended and you're waiting for your client at the door to the treatment room. So let me edit that, at the door to the treatment, and we need to have room. Okay, so this is when you're checking in with the client and their comfort level, making sure everything is good, escorting them out, summarizing the treatment, retailing and rebooking, and then checkout, exit. So the way that these things go are going to greatly depend on your business setup and your business model. So if you're working for someone, you may have a front desk that does the initial contact booking. You may have a person that you hire if you work on your own and you have a service that does that for you. Service verbiage for client intake, that is always going to be on the service provider. So you are going to be doing that intake. The moment you are aware that the client is there, the intake process should begin. Obviously, you're doing the service, and then post-service, you would be doing most of that. But if you do have an employee that is available for the check-in process, then most likely you've got a client, someone that's going to be doing the post-service from retailing and rebooking and checkout, exit. So it really just depends on the way your business and your brand is set up and how you're operating. So let's talk about some points of contact and some example situations. So the initial contact is the moment that your client comes into contact with your business. Now is your first impression. So every piece of information, every piece of contact is that first impression. So it's really important that we knock it out of the park. We want to make sure that we're responding to social media in an appropriate time. If we don't answer the phone, that we're returning calls in an appropriate amount of time. If we are answering the phone, we are upbeat, polite, and energetic. If we're getting emails, we're making sure we're responding in a professional way in a professional amount of time. 4 to 8 hours during business days. So if you're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, if they send that message at 10 a.m., the response needs to go out between 4 and 8 hours. If it's after hours, 24 to 48 hours. First in, first out is always my method, but I try to return emails before the 24-hour mark. You have the chat function on your website. This is something that if you do enable, that you need to have consistent access to. There's nothing worse than someone coming onto your website, sending a chat message and not getting a response for 30, 60, 90 minutes. This is meant to be instant communication, so don't enable it if you aren't able to manage it. Pre-service appointment, this is the point in which the client has set up they're setting up their appointment. We know when they're coming in. They are 30 days out, a week out, 24 hours out. This is the kind of contact that we're talking about at this point, and then any contact before they walk in. So the next phase to that is typically the day of the service, any contact that you would have with the client before they actually walk in, and anything that you would do before the client walks in. So some example scenarios: discuss offerings and promos. Someone is calling or speaking to you about your business. You want to discuss their offers and their promos. Another example situation is get and use their name as often, as consistently as you possibly can. You don't want to be overbearing, but you definitely want to get and use their name. You want to discuss offering and promos. You want to talk about what service they're looking to receive. You want to ask them if they've ever had the service before. If yes, have them explain their likes and dislikes about the service. Have they ever had the service before? Yes, explain their likes and dislikes about the service. This is 2x because you want to make sure that there's a yes and a no option. So for the yes option, we have explained their likes and dislikes. For the no option, you want to explain the service. There we go. Perfect. So if they answer yes, likes and dislikes, why they're getting it again, why they're switching providers, whatever. Have they ever had the service? No. Explain the service and educate the client. From there, set up the room for service. This is typically a day appointment. So obviously you're not going to set up for a service the day before or a week before, right? You want to set up the appointment the day of service. So the difference between pre-service appointment is the client is booked within a week. You may send a confirmation email. You may send aftercare. You may send, what the expectations are and how to come in for the appointment. That's going above and beyond. Clients like that, especially if it's a high dollar ticket. Setting up the room for service. If I know I have a 1-room spa, I have 5 facials today back to back. My idea of setting up the service is pulling the linen that I'm going to use for each service, setting it out somewhere, making sure, my laundry basket is empty and ready to go, making sure the environment is, smells nice. I've got my cleaning supplies on hand and everything's ready to go. So any contact before they walk in is really setting up that service, setting up that environment, making sure the room is the way it needs to be, and making sure I have all of the amenities and things that I'm going to need in the client intake phase. So for the client intake phase, this is the point in which the client is walking into your business. So you are going to do an emphatic greeting and welcome, or your front desk or whomever does this, using the client's name. The expectation is that if they booked an appointment, you should know who's coming in at what time. So when a client that is scheduled for 10 a.m. walks in at 9:45, greet them by name. Good morning, Ms. Jones. Welcome in. My name is Claire. I am the esthetician here. I'm looking forward to your appointment today. May I go ahead and offer you any of the amenities, water, whatever it is that you have. From there, we're going to do our sit the client wherever the waiting room is, do our 10-step consultation. After that, we have finalized all the information. We're going to escort the client to the treatment area, and then we're going to instruct the client on what they need to do. This is important, right? Escorting them is step 1 of the process, meaning I'm going to lead them or walk side by side with the client to where we're going. I'm going to bring them into that environment, and then I am going to instruct them on what to do. Pretend like the client has never had a service before, they know nothing. Give them clear and concise information. An example of that is going to be for a eyelash service, they're not going to need to undress. So for an eyelash service, maybe you have a blanket. You want them to take their shoes off and get under the blanket, and then you're going to drape their hair. So I would let the client know, Ms. Jones, thank you so much. We've confirmed you are getting a classic lash application. It's a 90-minute appointment, so I want you to be as comfortable as you could possibly be. This is our bed. This is what we are going to be using to allow you to rest while I go ahead and apply those classic lashes. What you're going to do, because you're not undressing, I'll stay in the room, but I'm going to have you take off your shoes. You're going to place them here. You can remove any uncomfortable jewelry and put it in this little jewelry box that will stay right where your shoes are, so you don't forget any of that valuable jewelry. looks like your hair is in a ponytail already. It's a little low in the back, so my recommendation is to, pin it up or go ahead and let it lay down. I've got some claw clips or some hair accessories in this little bucket. Whatever you take from it is yours. No need to give it back, but just so that you're comfortable, you may grab any of these items. And then you are going to get under the blanket if you run cold. If you don't feel like you'll run cold, you can sit right on top of the blanket. And if you do change your mind and get cold, I have an extra one that I can put right on top of you. So the choice is yours. You're going to put your head about right here. I'm physically showing them where their head's going to go, and you're going to be face up for me. Do you have any questions? Great. Go ahead and get started on that for me. I'm going to be right here. If you think of any questions, please let me know. So that may seem like a lot of information at once, but you have to tell the client everything. And a big part of setting yourself apart from other service providers is allowing clients the ability to be confident in what you're telling them and what's about to happen. Remember, these are strangers coming in to close their eyes for 90 minutes or more, maybe even take off most of their clothing with a stranger. So you have to instruct them on what's happening and where they should be and what they should be doing. So we're not going to go into these example situations, because what I would like for you to do is, after you're done with this theory, I want you to look at the example situations that I've already placed in the section, and then I want you to write out any additional ones and customize it for your business. So let's say the amenities that you're going to offer are rose water, hot teas, a variety of hot teas, an essential oil to start it in their service, that they can choose the aroma, as well as they can choose their lighting for the room, and they can choose their temperature, right? Those are my amenities that I offer. So I would like to see in your example situations a step-by-step version of your greeting, your offer of amenities, your consultation. So of course we have the 10-step consultation. I'm going to link it below the video so you can do that assignment. But we also have, you can create your own 10-step consultation, what information, blah, 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 blah. Your escort process and your instruct process. Fill that all out. You're going to do the same for all of the sections. You see I left it blank here. This is for you to create your own. So let's do that. Create your own. And then some scenarios, and then I will do the same for this. Create your own and some scenarios. Let's move to during service. Pretty cut and dry. You're doing the service. So from first touch to service to ending, this is the process that's going to take place from the moment you put your hands on the client throughout the service and the ending. So some of the example situations is informing your client that the service is complete, giving them a mirror, let them know that they're done, allow them to see the aftermath. Talking to your client after the analysis. So we have a consultation process that we have to do, but in every service there should also be an analysis process. So I'm going to use lashes again. We've consulted with the client. We know what they want. I'm going to lay them down. First touch is done. Now I'm going to do the lash bath and then, stand up and do my their analysis of their lashes. I'm going to take all that information and discuss how it's going to work with what their goals are, or any tweaks that we need to make. I'm going to do my mapping at this point, and then we're going to start the actual service. So yes, you have to do a consultation, but you also need to be doing an analysis of whatever you're working on. And that's any beauty service. If you were doing hair, you would do a hair analysis or scalp analysis. If you're doing color service, you would do an analysis of the hair. You would do a patch test. Lashes, facials, waxing, all of these things require a consultation and an analysis of the area that you're treating. So then you've got a review, recap and review, which is after or during that analysis, I'm recapping the information on the intake form, making sure that there aren't any concerns, and setting expectations. So you can't really set expectations until you've done the analysis. But once you've done the analysis, you need to set expectations on what the client can expect from this treatment, and go ahead and start warming them up about additional treatment plans for the future, as well as retail that they might want to purchase to help them reach their goal. But it's very important to set proper expectations so that the client is confident and excited when they see the results. Don't set an expectation if you can't accomplish it. Check the client's comfort level, physical and mental. Always make sure the environment and the client are comfortable, and empower the client to let you know if they are not. Start pulling and setting your retail sales. So lay the foundation for what you're going to be selling. As you see, this is A2, so it's on our sections twice. Another time is going to be post service, because you're going to actually physically pull the retail and then, talk to the client about it at checkout. And then drape, undrape. At the beginning, you're going to do whatever draping is necessary. At the end, you're going to do any undraping that's necessary to make sure that the client's clothing or other areas are unaffected by the service. And then lastly, we have service verbiage. And then let's put our create your own there, and we have our create our own here. So for service verbiage, post service, we have the service has ended and you're waiting for your client at the door to the treatment room. So we're going to check them in. We're going to check in with them one more time and escort them out. We're going to summarize the treatment. We're going to retail and rebook. If you have someone that works for you, they may do the retailing and rebooking, but I would always set the expectation of how long before I see them again and what retail I've pulled for them to take with them if they desire. And then check out, exit, whoever's getting the actual money in exchange for service, or verifying that they've already paid and giving them the final offer to take home that retail. Example situations, this is a great time to give the aftercare and break it down. The way I like to do it is in the beginning, used to, I don't do services anymore, but in the beginning, if I knew a client was coming in for a chemical peel, I would have already sent them the aftercare after they booked the appointment. Probably 2 to 3 days before the appointment, sent them all that information as well as the retail that they need and things like that. And then at the post service, all I have to do is recap it and let them know that if they do purchase the products, I'll get a notification that it's been purchased, or if they're checking out with me directly. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and send you a post-service recap, including instructions for the retail that you've purchased today. I'm going to follow up from the procedure. This needs to take place within 3 to 5 days, but you can do a range. You can do 3 to 5 days depending on what service. So some services get a check-in at 3 days, a check-in at 7, a check-in at 10, and then 21 for their next appointment. Or it could be just the 3-day checkup and that's it. So this is something that you need to customize, but I do recommend a follow-up of some sort. You need to, again, check the client's comfort level before you allow them to walk out of the building. Make sure they feel good, that everything is okay. There's no issues, there's no concerns. This is not showing everything, so give me a second. I'm going to make it a little smaller so I can... Nope, that's not helping. There we go. So now we can see everything for this section. There we go. Okay. Make sure to rebook the clients for next service. If you want to fight against rebuttals, the more information you give, the better. So if you want this client to see you every 3 weeks for 6 weeks, I would have, while their mask was on, or while I was in the treatment room and there was a time that I wasn't touching the client, so something was setting or drying or whatever, I would take that time to figure out the dates for the next how many ever treatments I'm going to recommend for them. So if it's 6 weeks for, a service a week for 6 weeks, I'm going to get those dates so that when I'm at the front, I can review the dates with them and say, these are the dates. Does the time still work for you? Most of the time, you're going to get a, yes, that's actually perfect. And you tell them, great, I'm going to put that in the system. You'll get a confirmation for all of them. Don't worry if we need to move one because something comes up. We'll get it moved closer to that date. But it's a lot easier for them to confirm that next booking if you already have a date and time. But if you give them the option to pick, then you could easily get, some objections. From there, pull, retail, and sell. So again, that's that A2. You've already laid the groundwork throughout this whole process. Even at the very beginning, we started the groundwork for post services, post retail. So all you're doing at this point is getting the yes. I like to ask someone last time, so this is the product that I pulled. If you're going to take anything home, it's already here for you. The front desk will get you checked out and add that product for you. so on and so forth. So it's very low pressure. They don't have to answer yes or no to me. If I'm the person that's checking them out, because I don't have a front desk or receptionist, then the difference is that I would tell them, okay, so we've pulled this product, we've got you set up for the 6-week regimen. I am going to send you a final aftercare little booklet with some befores of your skin, some afters from today. It'll have the dates of your next appointments. It'll have your retail regimen that we're going to talk about. Would you like to go ahead and check out for your products? Let them give you a yes or no. If there is any rebuttal that you'd like to do, you're going to do rebuttal. If not, check them out, add the product, and they're good to go. So like I said, for each one of these service verbiage situations, I want you to create your own. At the end of the day, this is an idea of what each of these sections of information should look like, sound like, and feel like, but it's 100% up to you and customizable. So for your assignment, go ahead and create your own service verbiage, sample scenarios, and things that you want to do for each of these communication phases with your client. You can submit it in your Boss Lady Beauty Online, or you can submit it to me in ClassReach via email. And if you're not a current student of Boss Lady Beauty Academy, but you want me to review it, feel free to send me a message to admin@Boss Lady Beauty Academy with the subject Service Verbiage 101, and I would happily look it over and give you some pointers and some tips. Thank you guys. I can't wait to see you in the next one.